minutes of fame. Let's go.
You are now watching 14A Sports on 15MOFE.com.
Welcome back to the 14A Sports Radio Show.
That's right. Let's go.
All right, and now at the table, he's a former Golden Gloves champion, also the former number 8 ranked boxer in the world at one point, also fought Muhammad Ali, and the inspiration for all the Rocky movies in the series. Our greatest guest of all time. Everybody welcome Chuck Wepner to the table.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing great.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
All right. Now your whole boxing career, now how that got started, I found it amazing. Now, you're actually working as a bouncer at a go-go bar. Now, most of us know Bayonne is never even having a go-go bar, but they had one on Andrew Street. So tell us what that was like.
It was great. It was Tony Maida had a place called Tony Maida's Rendezvous, and he needed somebody to work the place because there was a lot of unsavory characters, and right across the street was a saloon called the Blue Moon, which had about 20 derelict type guys. So he asked me to bounce the door, and he paid me, and of course Tony, well, we just passed away recently, but Tony was great. But all the guys had to pay. Mm-hmm. The pretty girls didn't pay. The ones that weren't that pretty, they had to pay.
I like it.
Not much changes.
You would have been throwing us out of that place back then.
Those three right there would not have had.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but he would signal me. Like somebody would come in, or the guy was somebody important or whatever, and there was a couple of guys come in that I didn't know, but they were hooked up pretty good, and he'd give me the signal, and I wouldn't charge them. The $5. It was only $5.
All right, so the whole Bayonne scene. I believe actually Rose. Her uncle Joe Barisi. This is actually one who trained you and stuff like that.
He was my amateur trainer when I won the New York International Golden Gloves in 1965.
Wow,
interesting. Look at that. So, yeah, that's awesome. Rose, there you
go.
go.
We got some relation in the building. I love it.
You could teach
great,
Walsh how to fight.
Great man, too. Him and Ralph Palmisano. Ralph was his assistant, and they, matter of fact, I can tell you the story. They came down to Maida's Rendezvous, and they saw me working the door, and they said, Chuck, why don't you come down to the gym? We're looking for a heavyweight for our team. We don't have any heavyweights. And I said, I don't know, my style of boxing in an AAU bout, I'd probably be disqualified in the first round. My best 3 punches were my chokehold, my left hook below the groin, and my headbutt. They're close. And but I went down there and I trained for about 2 months, and I went into the New York Heavyweight Golden Gloves, which is the biggest in the United States. It's not the Jersey. It was the Nationals then, the whole East Coast and all. And I won 5 in a row, and I won the heavyweight championship. And that was the first time a heavyweight from Jersey had ever won it, and it's still the only time a heavyweight from New Jersey ever won it.
Awesome. That's awesome. So I like to take a step back. So you grew up in Bayonne, born and raised. Were you viewed? Did you have a tough kid reputation? Like, did you grow up kind of fighting, or did that come later on as you joined the Marine Corps and so forth?
Well, I moved up to the projects when I was 13. So there was 2 guys up there. There was a guy named Mousy Abate, who was Doc Abate, who was the biggest bookie in the state.
With the name Mousy, I couldn't tell.
Mousy. Well, he was a small guy. And then there was Big Fred Lindquist, who was like the head of the gang. And I didn't bother nobody. I was an athlete. I played basketball. But one day they came to the courts, and Mousy stuck his switchblade knife in our basketball. And that was the end of the basketball.
Right.
So
was it the end of Mousy?
Pretty close. I beat the living shit out of him. And that afternoon, Mousy went and got Fred Lindquist, and Fred came up to the basketball court where we were, and he challenged me, and so we went down behind the projects, and I proceeded to do the same thing to him too. So now I was supposedly the toughest guy in the neighborhood, but I never picked it. I was an athlete. I just didn't want nobody bothering us, and that was it. Those 2 fights, and everybody stayed away from me, and that was good because I joined the Marine Corps about 8 months later, and then you ran into some real tough guys.
Right. So I read that in the Marine Corps you were 3-0, but in actuality you were about 81-0 because you got so many fights out at the bars,
You
huh?
can count. You're right. I was 78-0 in the alleys and bars. I was 3-0 in the ring. Yeah, you got it right.
That's good.
It was, that was my forte, fighting in alleys, because I figured it would carry over into my career, which started later on. But
So that was your
I
training?
got warned. Yeah, I got warned a lot, because that's something going AAU bouts, and although the pros in them days, you got to realize now, this is 75, so this is almost 40 years ago.
Right.
So they let you do almost what you wanted to do in there. It's not like now where you got a nick over your eye and they stop the bout. There was no headgears in training, and they use smaller gloves, 8-ounce gloves, as opposed to the
lighter
10-ounce
ones,
gloves,
yeah.
smaller gloves, and it was good for me because that was my style. I was more or less a brawler. I was never a great fighter. I was just a pretty tough guy who was always in great shape from being an athlete, playing basketball and all. Right. And I used to wear guys down. I used to let them hit me in the face till I got tired, and then I'd knock them out.
It doesn't show.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't show.
No, you can't.
Well, when I retired, I bought a new head. That's why.
All right, so your actual first professional fight is in Bayonne, which is pretty interesting. Now, the thing, it's at City Stadium. What the hell is City Stadium?
Well, that used to be Veterans Stadium. It's very funny, but I now live in a condominium right across the street from where I had my first pro fight.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I can look out, and I fought a guy named Lightning George Cooper, who I think he was more faster coming into the ring and warming up than he was. I knocked him out in the second round. And as a matter of fact, the picture of that first bout is on the wall of First Savings Bank on 26th Street.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, all right.
That's a big mural of me. Frank Nyland, who was the president of First Savings at that time, was a big boxing fan.
Right.
And he had the artist, when they redid the whole place, he had him copy from a picture from my first fight.
All right, that's awesome.
Cool.
So you talking about the early days. So you start off, and 9 days later, I think after that first fight in Bayonne, you go to the Garden and have your second fight, and you had a pretty fast start to your career. You go 9-2-2. At what point did you think maybe I can make something of this? This could be a real thing. How did you perceive that early on?
Well, in my era, there was a lot of black heavyweight champions and black fighters. There weren't. Are we all right?
Yeah.
There weren't too many good white heavyweights. There were very few. As a matter of fact, I was ranked in the top 10 in the world.
Number one white guy?
No, it was just me and Quarry. And Jerry had already been
Quarry.
beaten by Ali, and that helped to get me the shot at the title. Don King wanted to, after the Foreman fight, he wanted to fight with a guy that he figured Ali wouldn't have a tough time with, and he wanted a white guy. So I fell into both categories there, but I surprised him. I got in great shape, and I wound up going fit. Ali said later on at the weigh-in, he says, I wouldn't want to run into that guy in an alley. He said he's one of the toughest guys I ever fought, which was very nice of him to say.
Yeah, very nice. All right, so, now comes 1969. You're 19.
Summer of Love.
4-2 right there. Mets are a big thing in the area.
Yeah,
You're a big thing in the area.
The Jets had a big year that year.
George Foreman steps up. Huge guy here. We all know him from the grills and all that stuff. But you were slated to fight him, no?
Well, that was 69. I fought actually for the heavyweight championship of the world in 1975.
Right.
But George Foreman was a young, wild swinging kid, and I fought him early in my career. And I actually thought I slipped a punch, a big hook he threw, and I went to slip it and counter, and he just caught me over the left eye and busted me wide open. As a matter of fact, my manager, Al Braidman, who was the best cut man in the world, looked at my eye in the corner and he said, Chuck, I got to stop this fight. And I said, what you're the best. He said, I can't stop this one. He hit me so hard that my eyeball swelled from the inside out and broke through my eyeball.
What does this feel like?
Stitches.
George Foreman, Muhammad, what does it feel like when their glove impacts your skull? I mean, this is incredible. Don't patch me up. I'd be sleeping for 2 weeks.
Well, you know what? It's
Is it
amazing. I don't know.
comparable
I used
to
get
anything in
so
the world?
psyched up, I guess, that I was never really hurt seriously in a fight except with Sonny Liston.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
late in the fight, he closed my eyes and broke my nose. But you know what? I was in that fight. They had me ahead after 7 rounds. You know,
Right.
well, it was
Wow.
in New Jersey.
Is it
So
the
Liston-
Armory in Jersey City?
Yeah, the
Oh,
Army in
yeah.
Jersey City, and that was my biggest shot. You know, and Ali showed up that night for the fight and stole the whole show.
Get out, really?
Oh yeah,
That
he showed
bastard.
up in the Jersey City Army
Glory
not at
grabber.
full Liston, and you know I got cut up pretty bad. As a matter of fact, at the end of the 9th round, Barney Felix, the referee, came in the corner, and he said, "Chuck, I got to stop the fight. Your eyes are all busted up." And I said, "Barney, please." Let me go one more round. It's a 10 round. I'm okay. And he's, well, okay, how many fingers do I have up? And I said to him, how many guesses do I get? Anyway, he let me come out. And about halfway through the round, I threw a big left hook. And I caught the referee in his shoulder and the side of his neck. I couldn't see anything. I just saw blurs. And the commissioner jumped up on a ring. And he stopped the fight with a minute and 24 seconds to go in the 10th round.
Really?
You know, and they asked Liston after the fight if I was the bravest person he ever met, and he said no, his manager was.
Now that's very interesting with Liston because I know in the ESPN 30 for 30 piece, which we'll get to later, I know that you said that was your toughest fight of all
Yeah.
time. Now you fought Ali, Andre the Giant, and a grizzly bear,
Right.
and Liston was you still hold true
Oh,
to that?
yeah, Liston was the toughest guy. You know, Andre the Giant, that was show business. It was wrestling.
Right.
And Victor the Bear, I thought I made friends with him after the first time, but the second time, you know, bears never forget. I fought this bear twice, you know. That proves
I
how
didn't-
stupid I am.
What?
Oh, yeah. I didn't fight him twice. This bear mauled me twice.
And he
Now, the
remembered you,
second-
huh?
Yeah, did he remember me?
Chuck,
welcome
back.
Remembered your
Bears
style
are
and
like
everything.
elephants. They never forget. And I'm sitting there for Art Stock. I fought him the
You're out of
first
your
time
mind.
in Asbury Park, and he threw me off the mat and mauled me, and they stopped the bat. Second time, I'm sitting in the corner. I'm looking across the ring, and this bear is staring at me with those beady little eyes. And I said to Al, you know, this bear remembers me, Al. This bear does not like me because I hit him in the nose. Al said, oh, come on, a bear fought 1,000 guys. He don't remember you. Anyway, the bell rang. The bear stood up on his hind legs, which made him 8.5 foot tall, 1,250 pounds. And he went, I'm out of here. And I started to jump out of the ring, and he don't ever think bears aren't fast. This bear took 2 leaps, grabbed my leg, and when he pulled me, I got caught on the rope, and he like slingshotted me out into the audience. Now, the
Oh,
audience,
man.
they were paying $150 a ticket.
Wow.
Years ago, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of tables there. They had about over 230 people there. Anyway, I landed right on top of one of the dinner tables, glass splattering all over. I fell on the floor, and 2 of my friends picked me up and said, all right, come on, Chuck, go get him. Really, go
Those are
get
good
him.
friends.
Now that you're
Yeah.
warmed up.
Yeah. Go get him my ass. And the referee was
Start the
counting. The
card.
referee said 4, 5. I said 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You win, Victor the Bear. And the bear was waiting for me. I wasn't about to get
that's
back in the ring.
tremendous.
That was crazy.
Oh, awesome. So, so you have the famous nickname we really touch on the Bayonne Bleeder. Do you like? Are you okay with that?
I'm all right with it.
You're all right with
what, Rosie Rosenberg, the editor of the Bayonne Times at the time, was sitting at ringside when I fought Liston, and the blood was splattering all over. And
Yeah,
he had a tan leisure suit
He was
on.
pissed. He had to pay for the dry cleaning.
No, he burned the suit. Anyway, and he sees, Jesus Christ, this guy bleeding like a sub pig here. They ought to call him the Bayonne Bleeder, and it sucked.
Yeah, no kid- oh, so you got that-
It was also voted the third best ring name of all time.
Nice.
Yeah.
What,
That's
what
unbelievable.
were the other 2?
I think the Manasseh Mauler
That
was up
sucks.
there,
Yeah,
and the Eastern Assassin, Larry Holmes. There
That
was
sucked.
a lot of good names. A lot of good names,
yeah.
and you know, Terrible Tim Witherspoon and different guys like that. But they voted me third.
You know what? You're number 1 at this table. Those other 2 names, they
Yeah,
suck.
that's all
They're
that
Tell
matters.
you
terrible.
what,
know?
I had 328 stitches over my eyes, and I had the second most stitches of any guy that ever fought. The only guy who had more was Vito Antifermo. He had 329. And I told my
329. Got you by
manager, Al, I want one more fight. I want to be number 1.
Well, maybe we get Victor on the horn.
Yeah. Nah, Victor no more. No more Victor. Now that Victor's dead. I have
Oh,
Victor.
Victor.
Victor is
he
buried
a
in
rug right
Ohio. No, he's buried in Ohio right next to his manager.
Really?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Nice.
They
That's creepy.
researched that, and matter of fact, I got a nice call today from my producer for the movie, The Bleeder. They emailed my wife
Nice.
that things are going very well. That they have, she's on there now with it. Things are going very well, and we should be getting
that's
started
tremendous.
pretty soon.
That's
That is
good. Yeah, we
great.
were just discussing that
Yeah, that's
before the
great.
show.
Yeah.
Where are you guys with that?
Well, we have Mike Tolan is producing it, and we have the money.
That's what you need,
So
right?
we're going into. We should be going into final production very shortly, within a couple of months, I'd say 2 or 3
nice.
months.
That is
And the
great.
movie would be, because a lot of it's already been documented and filmed and
Right.
recorded and over the years. This thing's
Yeah.
been going on for 8
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another thing I'm trying to outlive is the movie. I said, "Geez, Mike, for Christ, I don't want to go to a movie out of an old age home in a wheelchair. You want me up there doing my
Yeah.
Chuck Wepner thing.
There you go.
Now, Liev Schreiber is supposed to be playing you. I mean, he does a lot of great
yeah.
work. He does a lot of, what's hilarious is that he does a lot of the voiceovers for documentaries and
Yes.
stuff, But I know you said, you want to do your own thing, but,
no.
how do you feel about him? He's a great actor.
He's great. I've met him a couple of times. As a matter of fact, I met him over the Garden the night that Cotto fought Margarito. That
Oh,
was
yeah?
Chuck Wepner night at the Garden. They played
Nice.
the team from Rocky.
No. Oh, that's unbelievable.
21,000 people. I walked down. They played the
very
scene,
cool.
Oh,
waving at
awesome.
everybody, and
What's better
blowing
than that,
kisses. And guy tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Geez, would you take a picture with me?" I turned around. It's Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, really?
No kidding?
I
Wow.
said, "Geez, well, I take a picture. Sure, Mello, come on." So my boss, he's a Jewish guy, Jeffrey Atzer. He's the big, the CEO of the company. He says, "You know Mello?" I said, "I do now." Taking pictures with him.
Yeah,
He
there
I
you
takes
actually,
go.
pictures,
I actually
that's
had a
awesome.
lot of problems. I had a lot of problems with some of the Knicks at an event that I was at. I should have brought you with me. We could have
I
solved
gotta
that
tell
up
you,
real quick.
Carmelo's a pretty big guy. They got guys bigger than me now playing the backcourt. When I played
Yeah.
basketball here in Bayonne, I led the city in scoring 9 times.
Really?
I was a pretty good basketball player, but anyway, they got guys bigger than me now playing the backcourt.
Right,
Well, I was the
right.
big guy on the team. I was the center.
You were the center,
6'5"
yeah.
and a half.
Yeah.
No more. These guys are amazing.
Maybe we'll take you to break on this one. So, as I was doing my research, I love the quote. I forget who the opponent was, but you fought him in Puerto Rico, and
Joe King Roman.
and you lost in a decision, and you come back and they asked you about it. He goes, and you said, "I had no shot at winning the decision down there, but it was $5K and a flight to Puerto Rico. Why not?"
That was it.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. They paid me well, and in them days, $5K was some money for me. I
Right,
didn't make any
absolutely,
real
yeah.
big money in my career like most of my contemporaries. Years ago, even if you were a world champion, if you got $150,000, $200,000, it was a lot. Nowadays, they pay these kids
Crazy.
crazy numbers.
Yeah, crazy.
$100
Yeah.
$100 million they draw, and they get 20% of it or something.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view
Yeah.
profits and everything.
Yeah. Holy crap. All right, so like I said, let's take a break real quick, and when we get back, we'll get into all the Ali stuff,
Ali.
the whole Rocky series, and much, much more. All right, the video right now coming up is Audio Insight called Bathe in the Earth. We're 14A Sports on 15 Minutes of Fame Radio. We'll be back with Chuck
Let's
Wepner.
go.
Oh, welcome back to the 14A Sports Radio Show.
That's right. There you go.
All right, we're back for round 2 with Chuck Wepner right now. Now let's get
Round
it.
2 is that's when he knocks people.
Ding, ding, ding.
Heads up, Walsh.
Why me? All right, so let's get into this fight with Ali. Now, the interesting part about this was actually the Rumble in the Jungle had a lot to do with this. Foreman was going to fight Ali, and if Foreman won, you were definitely guaranteed a shot to fight Foreman.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had to beat Hinkney, right? You went and fought Hinkney.
Terrible Terry Hinkey from
Right.
Salt Lake City,
Hinkey.
Utah.
That's
yeah.
a good nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well,
is a good
Don
one.
King, who we took on as my promoter late in my career.
Right.
Very fortunate too, by the way. He was a friend of my manager Al Braidman from Las Vegas many years earlier, and he said to me, "Look, Chuck, Foreman's a champ, but there's a guy out in Salt Lake City, Utah, called Terrible Terry Hinkey, and nobody wants to fight this guy because he's knocking everybody out. But if you can go out there and beat him, you'll get a shot at George Foreman, who was the then champion."
Right.
Anyway, I went out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was
Not your kind of city, though, huh?
Nah.
We had Luther on
Yeah,
last
he
week.
didn't like Salt Lake
Yeah.
either.
Not his kind of town, huh?
Well, you know what? I really didn't care because I was in training. When I
Okay.
trained, I trained.
You-
That's
right,
why
right.
I'm here 38 years later. I'm talking on a show.
Yeah.
Because I was in shape and I took a lot of beatings in my life, but I was able to, withstand them and to still be half sensible anyway. I went out to
Better
Salt
than this
Lake-
guy.
I went out to Salt Lake City, Utah. I fought Hinkie and knocked him out in the 11th round. I had him down 7 times.
Nice.
And I won the shot at Foreman. Now I get back to Jersey, and a few weeks later, Ali fights Foreman in Zaire,
Rumble
the
in
Rumble in the
Jungle.
Jungle,
Right.
and Ali knocks him out.
Yeah.
You believe this? I go out there, I fight this gorilla
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there in Utah, and beat him, and now I don't get the shot. Don King said, I promise you the shot, you're going to get the shot.
No, well, I heard
great.
how you found out, right? How you found out. It was a great story.
Oh, yeah,
you're
yeah,
home.
yeah.
You're watching Kojak.
Your favorite program.
Well, Kojak
You're
was
watching
one of my
Kojak,
best friends. He was a dear friend.
and mom calls, and the first thing he said, "Mom, you know not to interrupt me during Kojak."
I usually don't even pick up the phone. I just let it ring, but I just had something.
This was before caller ID.
Yeah. And, she said to me, get the paper. Don't be a smart out. Get the paper. I said, why? What's it say? She, on the back of the paper, it says, Ali to defend against Wepner in Richfield, Ohio, March 24th.
Unbelievable.
So what's going through your head
Crazy.
there?
What?
So what's going through your head there?
Oh, I was just, you couldn't believe the rush of excitement. I mean, I threw my clothes on, my sneakers, ran out, jumped in a car, drove up to the embassy, which was an old theater on between 48th and 47th Street and Broadway.
Okay.
And they used to sell newspapers there. So the guy was just pulling away in the truck, and I almost cut him off. I said, you got any news left? He said, yeah, I got about 3 copies. I said, let me have them. I grabbed the tree, I turned the paper over the whole back page. I still have the write-up. Ali defending against Wepner in
Wow.
Richfield, Ohio.
So
and
awesome.
The next day, Don King and Al Braidman called me and said, you're going away to camp, which is something I wanted to do
Right.
my whole life.
The
you
first
know.
time you were able to
First-
train full
first
time.
and only time. And I
Right.
trained
That's
full
great.
time. And,
I like the quote. I like the quote. You go, yeah, I'm giving up the booze and the women for 7 weeks.
Yeah, and boy, I'll tell you something. I will be pissed off at Ali when I get that. that was give up the good times. you
Right,
might
right,
say.
right,
Yeah,
right, right.
so,
Yeah, you got to sacrifice.
Anyway, I went away to camp, got myself into great shape, and as a matter of fact, I come up in Sports Illustrated, put me on the front cover
Wow.
of the Sports Illustrated, great picture, and the full face picture, just my face, and it said it was named The Strange Encounter, and that picture got voted Picture of the Year, Picture of the Decade.
Awesome.
Get out.
No,
Jeez,
it's
awesome.
real lifer. As a matter of
The
fact,
accolades this
I
guy
got
got.
I got one of the pictures in a car. I just happen to have about
That's
60 or 70
unbelievable.
pictures.
Just found him the other day.
Yeah, Neil Leifer, who was the sports editor, sports photographer for what's called the Ring Magazine and a couple other ones, got a big job with Life Magazine,
Okay.
and added that picture.
Really?
And he called me up every so often, and we talk, and I always tell him, don't forget you owe me, Neil. But, you know, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
and
good
he,
guy,
He
yeah.
did just as much for me as I did for him. You know, he
Right,
put me on
right.
the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh, that's
And it was a great shot. And anyway, things just evolved from then. A couple of weeks later, I heard that Sylvester Stallone was writing a movie script, and I was the inspiration. And it was called Rocky. And the movie came out, and like I said in the 30-30 movie, if I thought I was famous after going 15 with Ali,
right.
now I was the inspiration for Rocky. And
Right,
I,
right.
You know, I was hoping it was a good movie. And it turns out it was the best picture of the year.
Right, right.
And he should have won the best actor of the year that year.
Yeah.
That guy from Network won it. That movie Network.
I never even heard
Oh,
of it.
Yeah,
it's
never
the
even heard
one
of
where
that.
it's like, I want everyone to come up right now. They play it
Yeah.
when they're trying to rally at all the sports games.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah,
No, it's a
anyway.
good one.
Yeah, well, it was
Not
a
as
good,
good as
no,
Rocky.
It was,
Yeah,
it was a
right.
good movie, but I didn't think it was as good as Rocky either. But anyway,
Not the
and you know everything evolved from there. You know, and it's but you know, like I tell all of the guys that I boxed with before and all the guys I boxed with after, you have to market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to stay in the limelight. You've got to be able to say hello, goodbye,
Right.
2 and 2 is 4.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of guys in the game, and they asked me the question, geez, don't you think it's so terrible what happened to some of these guys? I said, let me tell you something. These guys weren't brain surgeons when they started.
Yeah.
They're not brain surgeons now. You know, let's face it.
Right,
How many
right.
guys that you, beside maybe the Klitschko brothers, that that are super intelligent and became boxers. You
Right.
know, it's
Mike Tyson?
Yeah. Let me tell you something.
Come on, man.
I'm going to see Mike in 2 weeks for the pigeon show. I'm going to bring him in and tell him.
You're gonna be like Alan from The Hangover.
Yeah, no,
that's
Mike.
great.
Now,
Hey,
Mike,
if it helps get
Mike
us some
is,
views, I'll take a
he's-
punch to the
he's
face.
Mike's
a good guy,
marketing
huh?
himself.
Oh, of
Mark's
course.
doing a
Yeah.
pigeon show,
He's
doing
reinvented him.
appearances.
Reinvented himself. No,
Definitely.
absolutely.
And that movie,
Amazing.
The Hangover, was pretty good. He was
Oh,
pretty
it was
good.
great.
yeah.
Yeah. And then
And,
he had his one-man show,
yeah.
the Tyson
Doing
with
very
Spike
well.
Lee. Yeah.
Doing very well.
He does very well with that. He did a show with Michael Kay on the Michael Kay
Yeah,
show.
the
you know,
Center
and-
Stage.
Center
Yeah,
Stage.
Center Stage,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah, I
was
love
great
that.
on
Great
that
job on
because
that, yeah.
he's a dead honest guy, Mike
Right.
Tyson.
Right.
He don't bullshit. He don't try to put on any airs. Mike Tyson could have been maybe the greatest heavyweight that ever lived.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
psycho.
he got
Yeah, he was
sidetracked.
great.
a little.
Yeah.
He was young, but man, this guy, I love to watch him. And he knocked
Yeah.
out the first 16 guys he fought.
Right.
You know, he came in with a pair of trunks, pair of boxing shoes, no socks, no fanfare. Just got in the ring and knocked your head off.
Yeah.
And you know, he's a dear friend of mine. He did a big favor for me when they announced this movie 8 years ago. It was at a restaurant called Merchants in New York.
Okay.
And I asked him to come over for the PR thing, right, honey? And he came over with part of his posse.
I have one of
Let
those
me
too.
tell you something. He came in with 4 guys, and he was a complete gentleman. He did a great job, and he said to his guys, sit over there and behave yourself. No crazy stuff. This is Chuck Wepner's night.
No kidding.
Stayed about an hour and a half. He came up with a girl named Luz Whitney, beautiful model.
Right.
And Mike always had beautiful girls. You know,
Yeah.
he had a great personality, besides being a great fighter.
Yeah.
And spent the time there, did me a big favor, and then left to go on to do, he was going clubbing afterwards. But,
Right.
everybody was a perfect gentleman, including Mike, and I've been with him maybe 10 or 12 times after that. I've been down at ringside with him in Jersey
Yeah.
City. Does
Absolutely. Yeah.
And with Mario Costa.
Yeah.
who
He
owns,
stopped in the White Manor. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Mario Costa owns the White Manor.
Right.
And he owns the ringside.
Right.
And he's a complete gentleman, and Mario books him for different things, and there's 2 great guys. As a matter of fact, Mario and I worked on Jeremiah Healy's first
The
male
Yeah.
campaign.
That's my boy.
That's Molly's
Jeremy
boy
Ting.
right
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Jeremiah Ting.
Yeah,
Sitting
yeah.
down having cocktails
Yeah.
with the mayor.
Jerry's probably my friend. Jerry's
Yeah.
a dear friend of mine. He was a great guy.
Best. Yeah. But so going back, we got to get back to the Ali fight, right? So we
Yes.
go in. So you trained for 7 weeks. You said earlier, you said I could run through a brick wall. You're all jacked up. In your mind, going into that, do you think you could? Now Ali he's the greatest, right? He's the champ. He's coming off, the Rumble in the Jungle. Beating Foreman, who Foreman was favored in that fight. You thought you were going to get Foreman. Now here comes Ali. Did you think you could beat him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I thought? I thought after the Foreman fight
Right.
and fighting me, I was ranked 8th in the world, but I figured maybe he thought he could cut me up and stop me early.
Right.
And I was ready for it. My strategy in that fight was to take the fight into the later round
Right.
and make him exchange with me, try to punch with me. I could punch a little bit with the right hand, and anyway, I was hitting him with a rabbit punch, roughing him up, trying to get him PO'd, and
Yeah.
it worked because he started hitting me in the back of the head too.
Right,
I didn't
right.
like it very much. That's a dirty punch. Anyway, one time he hit me in the back of the head 16 straight times in the second round.
Really?
Jesus.
Yeah, and but the strategy didn't work because I'll tell you why. He's such a great fighter.
Right.
That he was, even though he says he didn't train 100%, even the percentage he did train was good enough. And I
Right.
even though I was at my best, I just wasn't good enough to beat Ali that night.
Right.
Going in right before the fight, when they're taping you up in the locker room, what's going through your mind? How nervous are you?
Well,
You gotta be
know,
nervous,
son,
right?
I
Or
am
you just
nervous.
in the
I
zone?
am nervous. But I was nervous more about not doing well than I was about losing.
Yeah.
I knew I was in great shape. I felt so great, and this was my chance. And of course, I was nervous. But the biggest nervous time was when I got in the ring. And he climbed in the ring. I looked across the ring. And look at this.
What am I in for?
I'm fighting. Look at this. I says, I'm fighting Muhammad Ali for the championship of the world.
Yeah.
And you just look at the guy, and
Yeah.
he's been my idol.
Right.
Most
So
of my
cool,
When
life.
you're beating up the guys in the Bayonne bars, you didn't
Yeah.
think that was gonna happen.
It's a little different.
Oh, that's great.
So, let's talk about the fight now. The first 2 rounds come out. Ali swinging and punching.
16 rabbit head punches.
Absolutely. Now, I think it escalated. It's the 9th round where you actually knock Muhammad Ali down. When you see him hit the canvas, I mean, it seems like the heavens are opening up almost,
Is that quote famous? You know which one I'm talking about? Is that accurate, I should say?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
For 8 rounds, they had to fight. It was close.
Yeah.
Because Ali wasn't throwing any punches. I was the aggressor.
Right.
I won a few rounds in there just on aggression.
Right.
And after I knocked him down, I went back to the corner. I said to my manager, Al Braidman, Al, start the car.
Yeah.
We're going to the bank with millionaires.
And what he
said
said
to me, Chuck, you better turn around. He's getting up. I thought, but I
Still start the car.
I always had so much confidence in myself.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, I was a bleeder. I used to get cut. I lost most of my fights on cuts. But the night before the title fight, I bought my wife a powder blue negligee.
This is the best.
And I gave it to her, and I said, honey, tonight I want you to wear this negligee to bed because tonight you're going to be sleeping with the heavyweight champion of the world. Anyway, after the fight was over, I came back to the hotel. I walk into the hotel room, and she's sitting on the edge of the bed in the negligee. She says, am I going to Ali's room or are you coming to mine? It's very, very funny.
That quote has to go on a T-shirt. That's hilarious.
That is good.
That's one of the funny things.
That better make the movie.
I had a lot of quotes on T-shirts, and this is on YouTube, so you could probably use them. But
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
don't want to alienate myself with
got, like,
too many
yogiisms,
women. Although
you know?
I'll tell you what, my quotes to line up. Can I read your shirt? Really? I had some great quotes. So I'll tell you, that was just a very great time in my life.
Yeah.
And I went on to, to do other things, and then finally I met my wife Linda, who's my third, and that's the real Adrian in my life, and she's been everything to me. She's why I'm here today.
Right.
Great.
Linda.
Linda. So I read that you have a poster in your office, and Ali sent you a very nice plaque, but he put a P.S. on it.
Yeah.
And he said, P.S. in the 9th, you stepped on my foot.
No.
What was it?
Said, good luck, Chuck and Linda, after we got married.
Okay.
He says, Ali, from Muhammad Ali, the greatest.
Right.
P.S. Stay off my foot. That's the way he spelled it, too, my foot. They made that up. Like I said, he was down, never said a word all during the fight. 2 hours afterwards at the press conference, Drew Bundini Brown saw some clips of part of the fight, and he made that story up and all. But you ask Ali, and he'll tell you the truth.
Now,
time
after
I see
you
him.
do knock him down, he's pissed. He's visibly pissed in this fight. He comes out. Now you end up losing with 19 seconds
19
left
seconds
in the
to go.
15th round, which
Right.
right now is unheard of.
Right.
Like now they go 12. And most of these fights aren't even ending in knockouts.
Right.
However, the referee says in this fight, he's like, Chuck, I'm sorry. If I knew that 19 seconds were left on the clock, I would have let this thing keep going.
Exactly right. And every time he sees me, we hug and everything. And he told me the first time he saw me after the fight, he's Chuck, it was a great fight, and I'm sorry I stopped it. If I knew there was only 19 seconds left to go, I wouldn't have stopped the fight. Because I got up, and I was standing there, and he just looking at me, and he just waved. He said, your eyes look very glassy. What the hell? I went an hour with Muhammad Ali. What am I supposed to look like? Pinocchio here? I mean, come on. I was glassy. I was exhausted. That's what it was more than anything.
Right, you were tired.
Yeah,
I was never hurt in a fight, but I was exhausted. I got up and I could just feel. Actually, I could feel my legs shaking a little bit.
Right.
At the end of the 14th round when I sat down, from exhaustion.
Right.
You're fighting the greatest that ever lived.
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Now, let's talk about the town of Bayonne, before and after the fight. We're all of us here from Bayonne, we're all very proud people. And, it's a tremendous underdog story, So what was Bayonne like before the fight, and talk about what it was like after the fight as well.
Well, before the fight, it was very similar to what it is now. It was a blue-collar town. A lot of great people, and I used to sell out every time I fought. I sold out at the embassy. I used to sell out in Sea Caucus. We had 12,000 people at the Armory when
Armory,
I fought
Jersey
Liston,
City.
you know,
Right,
and that was
right.
a big place.
12,000.
And I had a lot of people that followed me and supported me, and it's the same way now, you know.
Yeah,
even
still
though
do, right.
there's
Yeah,
been a couple
absolutely.
of bumps in the road for me, as we all know, it's part of life.
Absolutely.
And right now, I'm very proud to say that I'm from Bayonne. And if you guys watched the fight with Ali, they wanted me, Everlast wanted to give me $5,000 to put a sign on the back of my road, Everlast.
Really?
And I said, oh, no. On the back of my road, it said Bayonne, New Jersey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
I
There you
refused
go.
the money,
Yeah.
Bayonne, New Jersey.
Proud of that, huh?
And Dennis Collins, the mayor, who
Yeah.
was there that night, and he brought the whole city council with him, said, Chuck, you know, when you walked out and we saw that road, we were just so proud.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much. And
Yeah.
Mark Smith says the same thing.
Right,
Mark
right.
Smith, I don't even know Mark was born. Yeah, he was. That was 37 years ago, so Mark was a little kid. As a matter
Right,
of fact, I knew Mark's father
Right.
was a detective. And I know Jack Smith, Mark's brother, is my doctor.
Right, right.
Great guy.
Right over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great guy. And the whole family is great people. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
definitely.
town's in very good hands with the Smith family, believe me.
So we were talking earlier about the 30 for 30 that they did, and so what did you think of it? And you told us kind of earlier. What was your great insight into that? You told us a great
Well,
story
I
before.
loved I loved the 30-30. I thought they did a great job on it. Jeff Furizig, who is going to be my director and in the movie, is a dear friend of mine. And
Right.
Jeff filmed most of it, and he put that together.
Yeah.
And Jeff Furizig also won like an Academy Award at the Sundance Film Festival
kidding.
for
Wow.
The Devil and Daniel Johnson. You know that, and he's a brilliant guy. And
Right.
Him and Mike Tolan, who's my producer. Mike is the big guy behind everything, and he's pretty friendly with ESPN.
Okay.
And they come up with the idea to do the special.
The
on it.
Real Rocky.
Yeah, the Real Rocky.
right.
And it got a very high rating, and they did a great job on it. I was very, very proud of it.
And so, how about the insight into what you wanted to do with the 30 for 30 that you were telling us before?
Well, I wanted to do the narration.
Right,
It's never
right.
been done before.
Right.
And a couple of big shots over there. I don't want to go into
Yeah.
names. A couple of big shots. I talked to them, and we decided to let me try it. And they said I did a great job.
Yeah.
You know, and they were what a nice. We went over to ESPN in New York, my wife and I.
Right.
And they told me they were going to do it, and it was a surprise.
You didn't know?
Oh, nice.
I didn't know they were going to do it.
Yeah.
And they said, we're definitely going to do it. And I was very, very happy. And my wife was sitting there, and they said, yeah, and we're going to be doing a movie to follow. And Christina Hendricks, who plays on a show called Mad Men, a
Right.
big, red, beautiful.
Yes, I know.
Very,
By the way-
very buxom.
Yeah.
Red
very
Hood?
much, well, like my flat-chested wife. They said to my wife, they said, yeah, she's going to be playing you in a movie, Linda. Well, my wife bust out crying. She's like,
Oh, that's
she was
beautiful.
so
Oh, that's
surprised,
awesome.
you know, and
That's
they thought,
awesome.
Yeah, but it was, they're a great bunch of guys over there at ESPN.
Tremendous,
and
tremendous.
I consider myself so fortunate to have been able to have that ESPN special made by ESPN. Come on,
Yeah.
they're the biggest.
Yeah.
They're
Hey,
great.
the Giants, yeah.
And
Yeah.
they also took me out to Los Angeles prior to that, and we did a big PR thing on the upcoming ESPN special, which was great. They flew us out to Hollywood, put us up in the biggest hotel in Hollywood, and
That's awesome.
yeah, and
That's gonna be great.
we,
They take you out first
we
class,
had a great
everything,
time,
right?
first class flights out there and
Jesus.
back.
Wow, unbelievable.
And they had over 100 newspaper men there for the press release that they were going to do the ESPN special with a movie to follow. Movie's taking a little longer than
Right.
than we hoped, but I got some good news today.
That's
and,
awesome.
I'm looking forward to the movie.
And what's the
We're
title
Really
of the
looking
movie?
forward to that.
The movie's going to be called The Bleeder, starring Liev Schreiber,
Awesome.
Naomi
Nice.
Watts.
That's gonna be awesome,
I don't know why
yeah.
they call me The Bleeder. I only had 328 stitches over my eyes.
He likes to
broken
donate
noses.
blood.
Do we get an invite to the premiere when this thing goes off?
Definitely. As a matter of fact, you know what? You know what we're going to do? Once the movie comes out, I'm going to have the Frank Theater down there. All day.
Ah, nice.
Oh,
I'm going
awesome.
to have them show it down there.
Awesome.
Oh, tremendous.
Awesome.
You guys will all be down there.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
Don't worry
great.
about it.
He always gets on me about self-inviting, but this is
No,
a good one.
I asked for an invite. You would have told him that we were going.
All right. So in this 30 for 30, the main focus is your whole career and all that, but they the title, The Real Rocky. They talk about the whole thing with you and Sylvester Stallone, how you're the inspiration for this. I find it fascinating that throughout the film, you guys got absolutely great footage of all this of Stallone admitting time after time
Inside
after
the actor's
time,
studio, he
yes,
said it, yeah.
saying that I watched this fight with Chuck Wepner and Ali, and it inspired me to make these movies. This guy's out of his mind trying to put up this charade for so long, saying that you had no part to do with this.
Well, he finally said that I did, and you know something, I love Sylvester Stallone almost as much as I love Ali. He did as much for me as Ali did.
Right.
I mean, this guy made me Rocky, made me world famous, and it's the biggest, not only the biggest boxing movie, one of the biggest movies ever made.
Period.
Absolutely.
You know, and
Serious,
he's a great
yeah.
guy, and he's always been great to me. And that thing with the suit was just business.
Right.
And I think Stallone
Right.
knows that. And I'm very happy that I'm still friends. I'm still friends with Sylvester
Yeah.
Stallone, and things will down the road. You'll see. Everything will
Well,
work
what's
out
right
just
was right,
fine.
and you had to get yours, and
Yeah.
you're right. It was
Yeah.
business, and
Yeah, I think so too. And you know what? Everything happens for a reason in this life, and it comes a time when things have to happen. And you know what? Maybe at the time it wasn't the right time to happen, but I know that you guys settled recently. Now, are you satisfied with what happened? We won't go into exacts and all that, but are you happy now that there's a resolution? to all
Oh
this?
yeah, we settled out of court and it was resolved, and both parties are very happy. And like I said, I would never have any hard feelings against Sylvester Stallone. The guy did.
Right.
It's unbelievable what he did for me. And I'll tell you what, I loved all his Rocky movies, and I loved Rambo as much as I loved Rocky. Rambo was awesome.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
he's a terrific action actor, and
Yeah.
he made a lot of great movies. And, Sylvester Stallone, as far as I'm concerned, will always be one of my favorite people in the world.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you a quick story talking about you being world famous. So I'm in an airport in San Diego, and I'm waiting for my flight, sitting at the bar with my buddy, and over we see Bill Murray, right? So we see
Yeah.
Bill Murray. So Bill Murray's there with, what looks like an 11-year-old Asian girl, but we won't get into
Bill.
that. So we go up and we say, hi, Mr. Murray, how are you? But and so he's going to Newark, we're going to Newark. He says, where are you guys from? We said, we're from Bayonne. He goes, Bayonne, home of the Bayonne Bleeder, Chuck Wepner. We're like, yeah, absolutely.
That's big
yeah,
time right
yeah,
there.
that was
Bill Murray
it was
was
unbelievable.
on the map,
Yeah.
biggest actors of all time.
Yeah.
He's been around forever. And the
Right,
guy
right,
is,
right.
A great funny
Fun,
man.
funny guy, very funny
Very
guy.
funny.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
my
But
God.
no, so yeah,
Caddyshack.
you did your world. You are world known by
Yeah.
everybody.
Well, it's nice. I just came off a cruise, and the captain recognized me. Oh
Wow.
my God, it's Chuck Wepner. I saw your ESPN special. Anyway, the next night he sent down a bottle of wine and a dozen chocolate-covered cherries. Listen, the next night he invited us up to his private dining room to have dinner.
Wow.
And with all his co-captains, and we had a great time. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of sending them all autographed pictures of me and Ali
Nice.
right now.
Oh, wow.
And we
Beautiful.
had a great time on the Gem, the Norwegian Gem. Great ship, great people, and this captain Stefan Nordberg. I mean, the guy is awesome. He's
Right,
a great
right.
captain, a great guy.
Yeah, that's tremendous.
Who's steering the boat when all you guys are
That's another story.
One of the Cabana boys.
He brought me up to the bridge, and he said, "Champ, anything you want that I can do for you?" I says, "Really? Can I see the boat?" He said, "No."
You got to draw the lines.
Yeah, there's 4,000 people on it.
Yeah,
So I don't think
yeah.
I want to.
He was doing you a favor with that one. Yeah.
But, it was a super great week.
All right, Chuck. We've had an absolutely great time
Oh,
here with you
tremendous.
tonight. I mean,
This is
by far
fabulous.
the best interview we've had. I know we say that to a lot of our guests, but honestly, we
Yeah, this is
absolutely
the
mean
biggest
it
thing
this
that
time.
could have ever happened for us.
Now, on the way out, something that was pretty interesting from the 30 for 30 piece. I wanted to read you this quote that Larry Holmes said of you. He says, he'll fight anybody, in reference to you, he'll fight anybody, put the check up, and he'll say, let's go get it. I think Chuck is a great guy, but I don't think he's at peace with himself because he didn't accomplish all the things he wanted to do, and he probably never got the respect that he deserved. Now, before we get your reaction to this, let's keep in mind you've knocked Muhammad Ali down. You've won a countless number of fights. The Rocky series is based off of your life.
own movie coming out.
Own movie
You heard
coming
the Sports
out.
Illustrated picture of the year, picture of the decade.
special with 30-30.
I think
The highest rated, 30 for 30.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredible life.
Second most stitches above his eye.
Now, do you agree with Larry on this?
Well, yeah, to a point I do. By the way, Larry Holmes is my dear friend. It's very nice of him to say that. I've been up to Easton a few times to see Larry, and he's been here. He came down to the Big Apple for pizza.
Yeah.
He came down
Yeah.
with
Hey,
The thin
Great.
crust.
Yeah, he
Great
brought
pizza
30-some people with him. I wanted to
Jesus.
say he brought 30 down, but we
Week
had a great
week
time.
one, you're invited doing an NFL pregame show there.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
we are.
Well, I go back to Vinny, the original owner. You know,
Yeah,
Vinny,
yeah.
His son runs it, and they do a great job.
Absolutely.
But I hung out with the old man years ago, and as a matter of fact, his wife is still alive, and she's great. But Larry, I agree to a point with that with Larry, but I think I accomplished what I could accomplish in life. And
Right.
that, you know, I never thought I was the greatest fighter in the world.
Right.
And if I'd have beat Ali, it would have been the greatest upset in history. But I did the best I could, and
15,
can't
yeah.
ask for anything more.
Yeah, well, Chuck, I mean, again, thank you very much for coming on. You're a great, representation of Bayonne, for Bayonne. Continue to be out there, and just I want to thank you. Thank you very much for coming on with us.
Yeah, thank you.
guys.
That's
Thank you
definitely-
for sharing everything. You're such an open book, and it's
Thank
been
you.
great. Thanks.
We loved it. All right, I'm sure the fans did as well. We're going to get to this video right now from the Scandals. It's called All Nighters, and when we get back, it's time for the Coles News Network, fresh off of her Ocean City, Maryland trip. We'll be back.
So she got
14A Sports
secrets.
on 15 Minutes Fame Radio.
15 minutes of fame. Let's go.